Hello, my name is Holly Hodge, and I am a senior in the elementary education program at UAFS. I'm also part of the honors program, and as part of the honors program, I got the opportunity to complete a senior research capstone project on the educational component of cultural institutions. I did this under the guidance of Dr. Shelley Heenahan, and she prompted me to complete a literature review of what the literature says about the educational component of these cultural institutions. As an added bonus to this, I also got to participate in Dr. Kristen Tardif's collaborative capstone class for the past 3 semesters. This is the first of its kind at UAFS, and I will be talking more about that later. I wanted to start us off by defining a few terms. Culture is how a group of people live. It's based on both geographic location and time span. Cultural institutions, then, are going to be a natural extension of a culture. They exist to preserve and showcase a specific culture. Here are some examples. We have the Oriental Institute at the University of Chicago. This is going to preserve the history of ancient Oriental cultures. The Dallas Museum of Art is going to display art of different eras. I also wanted to mention the Philbrook Museum of Art. Again, it's an art museum housing art of different eras, but as you can see pictured here, they also have some beautiful gardens. I wanted to mention that botanical gardens and botanical societies are also a form of cultural institutions. Broadway is kind of a double whammy as well. It preserves pop culture as well as it's a culture in and of itself. Groups of people can be cultures, and that is what I wanted to mention here. The Bill Clinton Presidential Library is also the marriage of two cultures. It displays the home state of the president. It's in Little Rock, Arkansas, as well as it preserves the culture of the government at the time he was president. So then, if the goal of a cultural institution is to share knowledge of a specific culture, it makes sense to have a designated person or team to create a curriculum. That's where the educational component comes in. Ultimately, this person or group of people are conveyors of knowledge. A good visual for this concept would be a bridge. The educational component is the bridge between the knowledge and then the public that they're wanting to share it with. And the hardest part of this job is going to be staying relevant. In my research, I found that an intern from the Chicago History Museum outlined the process of creating an interactive informational activity for the History Museum for this Family Fun Festival in Millennium Park. There were several challenges to overcome with this activity. Number one, they had an extremely wide audience. As it's a family fun festival, there were people from 2 years old all the way up to grandparents and great-grandparents. Additionally, it was an unfamiliar environment. A lot of artifacts in museums are going to be unavailable for transportation because they are going to need these specific environments to live in, so they can't take them out into this really windy, bright, sunny park. There were also lots of other booths, so they had to come up with an activity that was attention grabbing and would not blend in with other booths. And they wanted to create an activity with a craft that was memorable and not just junk people would throw away. Ultimately, they chose to create a bookmark. It was an easy way to start conversations with people. They felt that it was something that would be used at home and that people could remember something about their time creating it and learning about the history of Chicago when they opened their books. Ultimately, it was a success because multiple generations of varying demographics had access to the same space, experience, and information. In this case, and others like it, the educational component has a more complex job. As public engagers, they grab attention of strangers. As audience advocates, they are intentionally learning the background info and biases of their audience. And then as museum learning specialists, they're using that deep content knowledge to be the bridge between the knowledge and the public. Some other examples of occupations similar to this would be teachers. Parents aren't really an occupation, but parents are definitely constantly these educational components, right? We've got coaches, piano teachers, band directors. All of these people are going to be similar jobs to these cultural institution educational components. Some of the challenges with this occupation is that there is constantly new info being made available. There's new ways to present information, such as the internet. As we've seen through the pandemic, a lot of museums have released these 3D virtual tours that you can take online, so you no longer have to physically go to see some of these really cool exhibits. It's important to be able to adjust to the changing landscape of our world. Traditionally, the curator and the educational coordinator position at, say, an art museum are going to be the same degree. If it's an art museum, they're both going to need art degrees. They're both going to need to have that deep content knowledge of art history to know, what's important and what direction they want their museum to go in. But new research is showing that pedagogical training and classroom experience are proving to be way more valuable in the educational coordinator position. Typically, both of these positions are going to need a master's at the very least. I got the opportunity to interview Ashley Bailey. She's the Educational Programs Manager at the Scott Family Amazium in Bentonville, Arkansas. The Amazium is a family-friendly STEM center where kids get to engage in interactive play and learn all kinds of cool things. I learned a lot from Ashley. She had a lot to offer, and she was so excited to share all of her knowledge with me. She has been with the Amazium, and she has built it from the ground up since their opening in July of 2015. She is constantly curious. She gave me so many book recommendations in the couple hours that we got to chat, and she emphasized that she is constantly learning and constantly reflecting, which fits right in with the School of Education dispositions, as well as the collaborative capstone class because it was such a fluid process. Here is a photo of the charter class of the collaborative capstone class at UAFS. It's the first of its kind, and it was a cross-discipline class, which means that every college at the university was represented except health sciences. Dr. Tardif really emphasized that it was an organic process, and she didn't really have any expectations other than that we give our full effort. She and John McIntosh had come up with this loose concept of a theater disruptive sphere idea. At first, none of us had any idea what was going on, and organic process was the scariest words I'd ever heard. But eventually, I kind of found my place, and I contributed to this by coming up with a field trip outline for this theater space that we might potentially have. And this was a really fun activity. It stretched me as an educator as well as a presenter. We had so many people come watch us that first semester, and it was really a pivotal moment for me because it made me realize that my knowledge and my skill set can fit in anywhere I want it to, and bringing the educational component of cultural institutions into this class is the skill set that I had that nobody else had. So here's a picture of me and Dr. Heenahan after that first semester. We were smiling so big because we were so excited about how it was going. The second semester, we focused more on the disruptive sphere side of the project. So a disruptive sphere, the closest thing Dr. Tardif compared it to was a business hub. So a business hub is going to be this kind of creative think space for entrepreneurs and young business people to come together and collaborate and learn. And it's kind of a shift away from the traditional office cubicle 9-to-5 lifestyle or culture, if you will. And she explained to us that this disruptive sphere would also offer these non-credit classes. So these classes for a small fee, and these classes would be regarding how to create a business. And so we got to, as a class, create these toolkits, which is essentially a big lesson plan for an entire class. So if you look up the definition of toolkit on Google, it says that it's a set of tools designed to be used together or for a particular purpose. So if you get a toolkit like I did for my birthday last year, it comes with a hammer and screws and a wrench. And those are tools that I use for a particular purpose, right? Fixing things around my house. So in this context, in the business context, a toolkit is going to be this maybe pamphlet of information, of steps to get you started on a specific aspect of building a business. My contribution was to partner with Dylan Hudson, who's also part of the honors program, and we created a toolkit on how to create a social enterprise. Here's our table of contents. It was 11 pages long, so I didn't include the whole toolkit here, but this gives you a pretty solid snapshot of the kinds of things you would learn if you went to this non-credit class. The third semester, we chose to have a more holistic focus. We created programming for the space. We actually got to meet with the architects from Studio 6. We got to hear their ideas about why they designed this space with offices over this space and things like that. We got to listen to their ideas. We told them some of our ideas. So it was a really cool, collaborative, again, very organic process. And we finally came up with an official name for the space. So here is our title for the programming that we got to do. Proposed programming for the Disruptive Sphere, the Center for Performing Arts, Technology, and Creativity. So the proposed programming was the compilation of ideas that we had with the architects and our own ideas. There was a big focus on diversity. We wanted it to be super welcoming for everybody because we want to really capture the entire culture of the River Valley, and the River Valley is not made up of one specific demographic. We want everybody to feel welcome there. So that was our challenge as we came up with this programming, was to find ways to include a lot of different cultures. We also, that last semester, we outlined staffing for the first 5 years of the theater. This includes job descriptions that are not pictured, as well as salaries. And that brings us to this semester. I have genuinely learned so much and thoroughly enjoyed getting to be part of this organic process. I have gained confidence in myself, my skill set, my knowledge, and what I bring to a room when I walk in it. I've learned about collaboration and group dynamics outside and within education. I would love to find a career path where I can connect with my community. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.